Hi Kyle, hi Rhiannon. So, this month's topic is blinging out your board games. And there is so much to talk about with regards to blinging out board games. There's so many different ways of doing it. And you guys have done a great job covering a lot of it already. So I was going to talk specifically about one way to bling out your game, and that was by using box inserts and game overlays. However, the wonderful people in our local customs have decided to withhold the board game box inlays that I was going to talk about. So instead I'm going to do a top 10 list of ways to bling out your game. That list is in no particular order, so hopefully the community will be able to record some videos and put them in YouTube, or write comments down below in the YouTube comments, or maybe go onto our guild on Board Game Geek and write some comments there, or even just tweet us some ideas. But I hope these ideas that I'm going to show you will be an inspiration for some other guys into how to bling out their games. So one of the things that many people do is sleeve their card games. With the increase in living card games at the moment, it's very tempting to do that, because people want to protect their cards for as long as possible and give them as long a life as possible. Now, a lot of people are against that, and some people are for it, and so on and so forth. For me personally, I tend to sleeve the games that I play the most, or if there is hidden information, then I'll sleeve the games. And one of the things that you can do is use custom sleeves. So for example, for Netrunner, I use generic red sleeves for the runner and generic blue sleeves for the corporation. And that's just a way of differentiating. But recently Fantasy Flight have released a number of customized sleeves which are specific for the Netrunner universe. They have images of the Netrunner characters and so forth on the back of them. Likewise, they've done for their Star Wars living card game and for the Lord of the Rings card games. Another way to get customized sleeves is through Kickstarter. Games such as Legacy Gears of Time offered a stretch reward of custom card sleeves. Now, just to show you an example, these are from the expansion Forbidden Machines. Here's some from the original. So the game card itself looks like this, and the sleeve looks like this, nice and shiny and uniform, and we'll pop it in there, and we've got our nice back sleeves there, and as I say, for the expansion here. And it's a great way of just making the board a little bit more exciting than just looking at the generic red back or blue back of your customs, of your regular sleeves, which are cheap and cheerful. So that's one way to bling out card games. As I said at the beginning of the video, one of the things I was going to talk about this week was board game inserts. It's become a bit of a fad now that you get these board games with boxes that are this big and the components are this big, and they rattle around in there. And one of the things that's great is that companies have popped up like thebrokentoken.com, who Rhiannon and Tiffany featured last year on Spinning Meeples, who do these set inserts which fit tightly inside the box and allow you to compartmentalise all your components for the game, keeping them nice and neat and allowing you to stand the box upright and so on and so forth. Obviously a lot of games come with a moulded plastic insert, or some games now are coming with baggies, just for the ability to bag your components, which I tend to enjoy doing because it makes setup of the game quicker, because I can bag various components together, and then I can bag starting bags for each player wherever possible. However, I was contacted when at the beginning of this, as I said, by Robert Sealing, who does the Dice Tower website. He also does InsertHere.me, which is his customized inserts, and they're made of foam core, and they're all handcrafted, and they look fantastic. They work such that you can actually pull them out and have them on the table. Now, as I say, I was going to show you these, but unfortunately they're held up in customs. One of the other things I've done with custom inserts is I've made some of my own out of cardboard, and this is going to be pretty hard to see, but for example for Netrunner, I created a cardboard insert which divides the box, and it is literally cardboard, so it's very warped. It divides the box into three. It's all one sheet of cardboard that runs from one side of the box down, up and over, and down, up and over, down, and then up the other side. And as I say, that's one that I've made myself. It's not the most sturdy of things, but it keeps things separate, and then I use the card separators for keeping my decks apart. But as I say, what I really wanted to show you was Robert's foam core inserts, because they really are good. Another company that doesn't create foam core inserts but has how to make your own foam core inserts is orderofgames.com. So I recommend checking them out. Now, when I do finally get the inserts from Robert, from Customs, I will do a separate video for them just to give you a quick overview of what they look like. So Robert currently has a contest running on his Facebook page, as I say, where you can win a custom insert, and all you have to do is pick the birth date of his upcoming newborn baby, or rather whoever comes closest will win a free insert. He has also allowed us to do a 15% Spooning Meeples discount code. Simply log on to the website, and if you order one of his inserts and use the coupon code SPOON, S-P-O-O-N, then you'll get a 15% discount. Anyway, I'll provide more details of that when I get the inserts and I'm able to do a video for them. Another thing that's very popular through Kickstarter at the moment is offering customized dice towers, and in fact the dice tower themselves have a customized dice tower, and this other one here I got from Apocalypse, a customized dice tower from them. And there are a number of companies offering these dice towers, which are a great way, especially if you've got kids, of rolling dice and keeping them on the board. Now, as I say, these are through various Kickstarters I've backed, but you can order them direct through certain companies. Another option is a dice tray, and this is a dice tray I made myself out of Hurst Arts bricks. It's simply a foam bottom, and then I created the wall out of the Hurst Arts bricks, and you roll them in there, and I use these for a lot of dice games. And as we're talking about Hurst Arts, I may as well show you this beast. This is another dice tray that I created. This one is a slightly larger one, slightly larger area. This one I actually created for, strangely enough, Memoir 44. It wasn't supposed to be, but it's actually entirely modular. And this gets on to another thing that we'll come out to later. But as I say, here's an example here of how it rolls. So nice customized dice towers and dice trays. Another way to customize your game is with customized dice. So these are an example from Zombicide, and even better, I'm going to show you, let's just open up the old Plano box, another great way to store board game components in your board game box. In here you'll see some the dice that come with the game Dead of Winter. Dark blue dice, but Dead of Winter is set in the frozen wastes of a post-zombie apocalypse. So what I did there was, at Essen, I decided to visit the Cheswick store and purchase some lovely looking frozen dice. So these are great to add a bit of theme and a bit of bling to the game Dead of Winter. So as Carl said during his video, one of the things he likes to do is turn on a bit of music and add the atmosphere to the game day by creating a bit of musical atmosphere. And one of the best ways of doing that is through Spotify, where you can get the music for free. Okay, you get the ads in between, but there's also various other systems throughout the USA and what have you, like Pandora and Last.fm and what have you. But for me personally, I like to use Spotify because it's got a wide variety of different musics, and not necessarily the music from the actual game. If it's a licensed game, for example, for Star Wars, when I'm playing X-Wing, I like to have the Imperial March running, or when I'm playing Imperial Assault, nothing better than hearing the Imperial March starting up to really get you in the mood for it. And that's all well and good. What I'd really like to do one day is actually run an entire game evening that's themed based on one specific theme, be it spy films, so everybody's dressed up in tuxes and we've got the James Bond theme track running in the background and things like that, and all we play is spy games. Or an evening of science fiction games where people dress up as their favourite alien, or as members of the Federation, or from Star Wars, or whatever it may be, BSG or whatever. So anyway, this one was adding music to your game day to create a bit of atmosphere. If you're into role-playing games, one of the best ways to enhance your game is through the use of 3D terrain. And what I'm showing you here is some of the add-on bits that you can actually use from Hurst Arts, hurstarts.com. These are silicone molds which you pour plaster or resin into, and then once they're dry you pop them out, let them dry a little bit longer in the air, and then you paint them up and you get these pieces which you can use. And you've already seen some of the pieces from the dice tower that I showed earlier. So yeah, you can create all these different pieces and create massive maps of fantasy worlds and so on and so forth. There's some great ones up on the web for you to have a look at. You can see some of the terrain here. I've got a Space Hulk 3D terrain, I've got one for Descent, and as I say, these pieces you can use as well to represent money in games or treasure in games, and just for representing different bits and pieces. As I say, you can paint them up and you've got 3D terrain, a great way to bling out your game. If, like me, you like thematic games, then you'll no doubt have come across the ever grey plastic mini. And whilst they're great for playing with, and you can play the game with them as they are, and some games now even come with pre-painted miniatures, this Stormtrooper really, to me, you could do with a lick of paint. So one thing I like to do is bling out my mini. So as we travel from a galaxy far, far away to the land of Downward, as you can see, I've painted my Mice and Mystics miniatures up, and I think personally they look great. I'm very, very proud of them. They took a lot of time for me to do, but one of the things I found with them is that I haven't wanted to play with them quite as much. Do it, but don't worry too much about all the details, and you're not trying to win any competitions here. Just paint them so they look great, so you can play with them, but know that when you're playing with them, there's the possibility that the paint might rub off. So, painting miniatures is a great way to improve the look and feel and theme of your board game. Go for it. By far and away, one of the easiest ways to change and bling out your board game is to take these and change them out with these. Custom meeples are definitely a great way and easy way to change your board game. Let's have a look at some of the others. One great source of customized meeples is, strangely enough, meeplesource.com, who do a lot of custom miniatures. So for example, here we've got some miniatures for the Tiny Epic Kingdoms series. They've also done for Tiny Epic Defenders, and they're currently running a Kickstarter for lots of meeples, for custom meeples for various games such as Imperial Settlers and Pandemic and so on and so forth. So these are my fighters, my clerics, my rogues and my wizards. Hark at their beauty. Or not. Well, one great way to improve this game is by getting some D&Deeples created by Danny Perello, and available if you go to the Lords of Waterdeep webpage on Board Game Geek. Now you can turn these into these. So as you can see here, clearly a wizard, clearly a fighter, clearly a rogue, and clearly a cleric. So much better than that. Finally, with the custom meeples, I have to give a shout out to Stonemaier Games, who've come up with this delightful looking treasure chest. And I'll be doing a Kickstarter soon for a treasure chest 2. But this chest includes wooden components, and stone, and slate or clay or brick and gems and gold. And not only do these pieces look great, but they feel, I mean, these gold pieces are heavy. I'm ordering them currently from stonewire.games.com and look for a Kickstarter for new ones soon. It would, of course, be remiss of me not to mention the good old Agricola and the horrible pieces that came with that, and the fact that Z-Man and Lookout had the insight to release an expansion called The Goodies, which enabled you to change your round white sheep to look like wooden sheep meeples. So if you've got Agricola and haven't tried blinging it out yet, I thoroughly recommend adding a little bit of bling to your Agricola content. So as you know, I play a lot of games with my kids, and one of the things about playing games with kids is they're not always able to reach across the board to lay their card down. And quite often you've got some kind of points track in front of them, and this happens, and then suddenly you've lost track of who was what, where, why, when and how. So the wonderful people at BoardGameInnovations.com have come up with a series of acrylic templates. This is an example of one, and I'll show some others later, of one for Mage Wars, which you simply lay over your template like this, and you place the cubes in the acrylic holders so that when the inevitable happens and they knock them, instead of the cubes going flying and all points lost, it's a lot harder because the entire tray shifts and it can just be put back. There are lots of them available, so this is one for Mage Wars, and I'll show you one for Robinson Crusoe and for Istanbul in a second. Anyway, these are available from BoardGameInnovations.com. So you're having a wonderful adventure across the island, and your character is close to death, or not, as the case may be, and of course the inevitable, I'll just put my pawn over here. Oh, and we've knocked it again. So again, Board Game Innovations have come up with the acrylic life counters for Robinson Crusoe. This one, as you can see, is for the carpenter, and there is one available. It lays over like that. One available for every character in the game, and for the promo characters. So we've got the Explorer, the Sailor, the Soldier. There's one available for Friday. This one's for the Cook, and we've also got for the expansion, we've got one each for Darwin here, Darwin 1 and Darwin 2, and for the Missionary. And whilst we're talking about Robinson Crusoe, I should also show you these wooden tokens that are used to replace the cubes in Robinson Crusoe. These tokens are available from the Portal website. Then for the game Istanbul, we have these ones which are created for, for the Sultan's Palace, for the post office, and for the gemstone dealer. These are used to keep the gems safely in place on the board there. So the Sultan's Palace and the gemstone dealer get gems, and the post office, it will hold the cubes nicely in place, which is really good, this one, because these are the ones that get disturbed most often. And what's great is they've actually engraved the name of the tile it refers to at the top of the board, so it's really easy to see. On top of that, they have also created for the player board get it around the right way, a similar one which will keep track of your goods. Like that. Where's the last one? There we go. And they'll also keep track of your gems. And you're probably wondering, what about the wheelbarrow? Well, when you add the wheelbarrow piece, you slot it in like that. You might have to lift it up. There we go. And then you just place the acrylic extra bit on top. And there we go. That's the inlay for Istanbul, which is really handy to have, as these pieces otherwise move around a lot on here. If you can imagine, your alternative is something like this, and the pieces slide all over the place. So a great solution there from BoardGameInnovations.com. As you can see, I like to use a black tablecloth when playing games, but There's one thing even better than a black tablecloth, especially when you're playing X-Wing, and that's your own star field. So this is a playmat I ordered from Holtz Mats, HOLTZMATS.com, which is suitable for basically any science fiction space themed game, but I use it for X-Wing. So custom playmats are a great way to bling out your game. Mouse mat size. This one was one I got from artscow.com, and it's for the game Dungeon Roll, which many of you might know, and you simply use it to store your dice graveyard here, and then there's the life tracker, which you move up and down the level as you go up and down in the game. So a mouse mat solution to bling out Dungeon Roll. So occasionally when you back a Kickstarter, you get the opportunity to purchase an add-on playmat, and this is the one for the game Draco Magi by Robert Burke Games, and it is absolutely gorgeous. It's a neoprofene mat, which is just a rubber mat basically, and it's got this fantastic artwork on it. Look at that gorgeous dragon there, and it shows you where the various decks should go. So I know exactly where that deck should go on that board. And what's really great about the design of this is, look at this, in the middle there it says Battlefield, and I can clearly read it from this side, as can my opponent from his side. A gorgeous map, which was an add-on well worth getting from Robert Burke Games for Draco Magi. So as you can see, I'm a bit of a fan of the old playmat, and one of the ones I had made, and this was one that I found the image on Board Game Geek, but I actually had printed myself through Vistaprint.com, was this player mat for Blood Bowl Team Manager. And again, there's player locations for all the cards to be located, and it's a great little player aid as much as adding to the theme of the game, as it reminds you where various items should be stored on the player board. So when a game doesn't come with a player board, getting a customized playmat is one of the ways I like to bling out my games. So for Android Netrunner, I was able to download this image of a player mat and get that printed through Vistaprint, and you'll notice the reflection. That's because I'm using these plexiglass to hold the mats flat. Of course you don't have to use that at all, but I like using it for a lot of the mats that I use to keep them nice and flat, but it does mean that you get light reflection when recording, so I apologise for the reflection. As you can see, there are two of these mats, one for the corporation and one for the runner. There is the turn track or click tracker for both parts. There are various actions that are available to you. There's a scoring area, a money area. This is for the runner, so there's the area in the rig for the programs, for the hardware and for the resources. There's your IQ and your stack and your heap. We go around to look at the corporation here. We've got a massive area for playing ice. As you can see, this is just level 2 ice here, so there's room for at least another 4 ice on here. There is the credit pool up in the top. There is the score area. There's a click tracker like there was for the runner, and there's various turn actions available. We've got the archives here. We've got the R&D and the IQ, and finally our remote servers. And if there's any criticism of this playmat, it's that there possibly aren't enough remote servers, but of course that depends on how you play. Anyway, these playmats were fantastic. I actually printed out on one great big vinyl banner and then cut it to size myself. Again, this was ordered through Vistaprint, and I'm really happy with the result. So those are some of the ways I like to bling out my games. I hope you've enjoyed looking through them all, and I hope maybe they've inspired a little bit of ways to bling out your games. I thoroughly recommend, if you've got the time and patience, of painting your minis, of getting into Hearst Art silicon modes to create terrain and all the various bits and bobs that you can do with that. custom meeples, great way of, or custom bits and bobs through places like Meeple Source are a great way to bling out your game. And the mats I highly recommend as well. Lots of play mats everywhere for games that don't come with boards. So thanks for listening to me ramble on this time about all this bling. I hope you enjoyed it. Now what I want to know is what you guys do for your games. So send in videos, photos and what have you so that we can see them and have them up on the community feed next week. One final thing, I'd like to thank everybody who voted in the what game from Robin's collection he should play next, what game I should play next. That actually finishes, I'm recording this the day before it finishes. At the moment it looks like I'm going to be playing a Study in Emerald, but it's very close. Blackfleet or Progress might take over in the last few hours, who knows. Anyway, I'll have that review up after I've played it a couple of times later in the next month. Thanks everybody for listening, thanks everybody for voting, and check out some of the websites that I've named for Meeple Source, for inserthere.me, for boardgameinnovations.com, for all your various bits of bling. Thanks a lot. Cheers, bye. What happened to my banana?